everybody, the whole family at one time or another worked at the plant. There was always plenty for them to do, and the younger teenage kids, the boys, then went on to their professions, which worked out fine. Uh, so the so the printing company provided a good life for us and a good starting life for the kids as they came up. Yeah, I guess I'm just the type of person that likes to take care of people, and I had an opportunity to do just that. I know my kids kind of know the story of how the plant came together and how my brother Bob and Bob put up the money because I didn't have it, and I did all the work until the thing got along to a point where Bob could come over, and my brother John was working for some people who wasn't treating him quite right, and they had a little bit of the action on my company too. So when John sued for back wages, they wanted to settle for their share of the company, and Bob and I got our heads together and decided that yeah, okay, fine, we'll accept that, and that's how John became part of the company. But you go back right after the war, and just actually, John and George came home from the war, and John was working for the Reinhardt brothers in the small engine division, and George was working for the gas company, installing refrigerators and stoves and that type of thing. So when the Korean War broke out, by that time I had spent some time in Chicago going to training for installing and repairing printing equipment. And I had been then hired by a firm called H.A. Rogers, which is a blueprinting outfit. They had bought the agency for the printing equipment, and there was so much work there that I asked John if he wanted to leave Reinhardt's, and I knew he did because he was working nights and it was kind of a dead end thing. So I brought John in, and of course we were married at the time, and Dean was on the way. And I had one deferment, and we tried for a second deferment, and they wouldn't do that. So I was drafted into the Army. Before I went, I said, well, geez, there's enough work here for two people. So we hired George in, and that's how George got involved. When I got out of the service, of course, they had to give me my job back, and they said, Tom, the only thing we got now for you is to go into sales. Either that or George would have to let George go. And I said, well, I wouldn't do that. So that's when I went into sales. So I was kind of taking care of my two brothers, and finally I ended up starting Rapid Copy, and John came on board along with Bob. Bob had his own business, but it was kind of a dead-end business too. So he was more than happy to take and see this one that I had flourish and got big enough for him to come over. So in a way, I was kind of taking care of Bob too. We had some great times together. Now the company provided a lot of nice things. We never made a ton of money at it.
Yeah.
The idea was that when it came time to sell it, the investment that we had in the company and in the real estate, because we owned our own real estate, would really then end up as our retirement money.
But it was a very creative. You were very creative in your
Within it.
because it wasn't just printing. He got into limited edition art prints that he was doing, and he was very good as far as color. The artists really liked. In fact, sometimes he complimented it looked better than the colors that they had. It's sometimes what he would do, and then he went into the playing cards.
We manufacture playing cards too.
The custom-made NFL account and bridge cards and what have you. So it created interest,
It was almost something we had to do because if all you do is printing all day long, it's pretty dull. So we got into various things. We printed on plastics too. One day I got down there and I told my brothers, I said, I've had enough. This is no fun anymore. So I says, I want to sell a company. And they agreed. My brother Bob was a year past retirement age. And so I figured it'd take me maybe 2-3 years to find the right people to sell it to. Instead of taking maybe 2-3 years, I picked up the phone and called an outfit that I was going to take and buy out. And we didn't, but I said, do you want to buy me? They said, yeah. So 3 months later, I had sold the company and the real estate. It was kind of shocking in a way. All of a sudden, I had a company, now I didn't have one. And I had signed a work contract with them, and my brother John, and then we had another little 10% owner of the company, Harlow. They also went over to the new company. Anyhow, the thing evolved from a small printing firm to one of the largest non-union plants in town. And when the union tried to unionize us, we beat them the first time, soundly. They came back, I think, a year or two later and tried to unionize us again, and that time we lost. So the plant became union, and that was pretty much its downfall. It was just too expensive. You couldn't compete out on the market with the size equipment we had. So eventually, like I say, I just got tired of it all and put it up for sale and sold it. We were trying to settle with the unions while I had it, and we couldn't get the union contract settled. So I sold the thing without having the contract settled, and the new owners just put it on the line. Here's the way it's going to be, people. And if you don't like it, we'll close the place down. And that's what they did. They closed the place down, which is fine. I think this is the way I would have done it too. They ended up with all my salespeople and my truck driver, Lee, and the rest of the people who were union were left to find jobs through the union, which some of them did and some of them didn't. But that was the end of 30 years of having my own business. And I was ready. I was ready. I had a 5-year contract with the outfit I went with, and it was 4.5 years too long. So, but I worked until I was 67 because Bertie needed to get her 66th year in for Social Security. So I was ready to totally retire then at that time.